artists are such a huge, important part of our life. They're our friends. They're to a great degree our inventors. They come up with a lot of the ideas.
Yeah.
They either don't know they come up with the ideas because we look at them playing and we think, well, if you could have this here or that there, I like to have this here, but I can't get it there. We'll say, well, you don't think you can do it, but let's us come up with a way to figure out how you can do it and how we can improve what you're doing from not only an inventor standpoint, but from a business perspective. We can think of pivotal artists, of course, Terry, with all the input that he's had with us, and Jim Keltner, our lifetime friends, a long list of artists. But Danny Seraphine was one of the first, I want to say, crossover drummers, because we had a lot of drummers with us in the early 80s, studio guys, Larry London. But for a drummer to leave a major drum company and come to DW with a major band was Danny with Chicago. He was a top artist with a company, and then he decided.
And his tech became an employee of ours.
Yeah, and he decided he wanted to play DW drums. That was a big moment that spurred us on, kind of as a company. We felt like, well, maybe we are onto something here. Maybe this could turn into something. We knew we were a successful hardware company, but could we really bridge the gap of becoming, a drum company in the mind of drummers around the world? Would there be enough of them to support us buying our DW drums? The next big was Tommy Lee. And Tommy,
he was so great.
Tommy
is so great.
Yeah, absolutely. And we did a joke thing with him at one point. I don't know if you remember this, but I did an ad in Modern Drummer where we showed the making of a drum, where we showed various pictures of different employees we had going through process of sanding, drilling, lacquering. And I said to Tommy, wouldn't it be funny if we got some shots of you kind of doing this? So we actually got shots of Tommy making, purporting.
And he was actually
purporting to be making his drum set. So well, we kind of staged him, but I don't know if you remember this, but
I do.
I get a call after we put the ad in Modern Drummer from somebody in Florida. He says, I work for OSHA, and I'm a drummer, so I'm not. I'm just want you to know that when you have an employee buffing something, they have to be wearing a mask.
Glass.
And I said, no, it's Tommy Lee. It's just a staged photo that we did with him. But him leaving a major company. And companies in those days, part of their business model is they would pay their artists. And that's part of a decision some artists made in terms of their business model, which I totally, I accept and appreciate. And so.
Well, we couldn't pay ourselves very well.
And
so
our philosophy has always been,
think about paying?
Philosophy has always been, if you have an artist who's passionate about the instrument, they're going to spread the word 10 times more than if it's a business relationship. Tommy came out, and we were working on a pedal, working on his pedal. Actually, the comment I remember is Clyde, his drum tech. Have I got that right?
Yep.
He had called and said, we just finished our tour, which was 8 or 9 months, and we'd use your pedal on the whole tour. And I'd given him the pedal, so I assumed you used it on the whole tour. I said, well, that's good. I said, he said, no, what I mean is, with our prior manufacturer, we had to take 5 or 6 pedals. We used the one pedal you gave us. We never used the backup pedal at all. It worked for the whole tour. And I'm thinking, well, that's the way it's supposed to be. That's great. I'm glad that worked like that for you. He said, Tommy wants to come out, and we had made some new improvements to it. I said, I want him to try it out. So he came out, and we had a drum set set up in your little office, which was down in the other building.
It was
loft. It was a loft that you couldn't even stand up straight in. You had to. It was totally illegal. It wasn't supposed to be a 2-story building, but there was a storage loft up above that we put John's desk at. Anyway, there was a drum set up there. We brought it down. We set it up, and he started playing on it. And he played on it for a couple of hours. I mean, I remember exactly because I was in all kinds of trouble because I didn't get home for dinner that night because I wasn't going to stop him playing, but he was playing up until 7 o'clock, 7:30. And he just came in and said, I've never heard drums that sound this open. And that lit a light in my head, which was like, he's 19 or 20 at the time. He started playing on an imported drum set because that's what was popular when he was 13 or 14 and he started playing. and he wasn't aware of listening to what the classic American drum set sounded like in the 40s or 50s, or the changes that we had made. So I'm like thinking, how many 19-year-olds are out there that, you know, haven't really, I just assumed everybody knew what was one drum sound and what was another drum sound. You know, I just kind of didn't think of, people grew up in one way and they thought that's all that you could get out of a drum set. So he said, if you remember, that I want to use that kit. We're going up to do the Dr. Feelgood album, which you might remember was at some studio, I believe in Canada. It was some ambient room. It was a big studio or something where they were ambient miking, so they were really hearing a lot of the major sound of the drums. And I said, you know, there was no conversation about him being an artist or an endorsee because he had management people. I mean, Motley Crue was a machine, and they had relationships with other drum companies. So I said, I'd be happy to have you do that. And he was like, no, I'll buy it. This is the check I got from,
oh, gosh.
from Motley Crue for $2,706.40. Don't ask me how I came up with that amount. I'll never let you know, but I don't have any idea either. But anyways, he paid $2,000 and he took that drum set up there. And somewhat of a long story I'll shorten here is we didn't get any credit. Of course, it was totally a personal thing between me and him. So it came down as he was playing, you know, his normal endorsement drums. And life went on for a little bit after that. Then, you might remember this, they were doing a huge concert in Russia, which was
and he said,
AIDS, or it was with major rock bands. And I get a call from Clyde and Tommy, and he says, you know, can we come out and see you? And I said, sure. He says, we're trying to get a drum set for this big show in Russia. Bon Jovi was on it. The same management with Motley Crue had several bands. And he said, we want to have a American and a Russian flag painted on it. So, but what we're trying to do, we got, from the company that he endorses, we got several shells of each size, and we're tapping them, but what the heck does John do we saw John doing this. We're not exactly sure what he's doing when he's doing it. What is he looking for when he does that? So I explained a little bit, and I said, look, why don't you bring the shells out and we'll paint them for you.
And we'll match them.
And we'll match them for you, and we'll put it together.
So what did they send, like 8 drum sets of raw shell?
It was 5, or maybe 5 or 6 at least anyway. So we timber matched them best we could, but they weren't shells that were made for lacquer. They were mahogany on the outside. So we tried spraying one and it just soaked it in. It was like, this is going to take forever. I don't think we're going to be able to do this. So, and time was up for them at that point because they had to get the shells shipped from Japan over here in the first place. So I just said, look, let's use our shells because I know we can paint them. We can get them done in a week, and we'll put all your hardware on it, and that's going to be the easiest way we can accomplish this. So we kind of made that set for them, and they went over and did the concert with it. And again, it was just a personal thing between us. Everybody thought the drums sounded great, and I didn't know they were our shells, and we had made the drums. So I then get a call shortly after that Tommy would like to make the change and play the drums.
Which was huge for us.
Which was huge for us, for sure. And actually, the backstory more to that was the management called and made the point that there's a business relationship that he's had with other companies. And I just said, well, look, you know, we can support him as much as we can with product, and I can do some ads, but I can't do any more than that. And so that was kind of the end of it. I never heard back from him at that point until more time went by. And then I got a call from a new manager of his who called again because their management team had split up. If you remember, it was Doug called and said, Tommy, would like to play your drums. I said, I know, we talked about this last year. And he said, no. He just wants, I want him to be happy. He loves your drums. He loves what you guys are doing. He wants to play your drums. No business relationship other than just, you know, obviously we would give him free drums and do ads. And they came out the next day. We had lunch at Stella's, I remember, and shook hands, and he became a DW artist. And that took the level of our company image, to the point of being cool It was like we were getting into a whole different genre than the studio drummers and the drummers and you know, we actually,
The acceptance was starting to happen.
yeah, we could make drums for that style of band, and then 10 of them came on board.